Welcome to this edition of Supervisors Report with Nate Miley. I'm your host, Dr. Marshall Kamina. Joining me now is Supervisor Miley. Welcome, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Sure nice to see you. What topics or announcements would you like to share with our viewers today?
Well, I think two things I'd like to share. First is on Measure W. You know, that was a half-cent sales tax that the voters approved in 2020, and the county was challenged on it in court, and we won that litigation last year, and so we could start utilizing those funds. And, you know, we've put aside $1.4 billion of that tax measure for homeless services, and we've put aside another $258 million for essential services, and another $170 as a prudent reserve. This tax measure expires in about 5 years. So what recently we decided to do, because we've already spent about $73 million on essential services, but because, you know, we're faced with Prop 1 cuts around mental health, and we're faced with also other challenges with HR 1 and Medi-Cal, and potentially there might be challenges to the Alameda health system. The board recently approved putting more essential services funds over the next 2 fiscal years, 26 to 27, 27 to 28, putting another 83 million or so into essential services to shore up some of those matters around food, around LGBTQ services, around seniors, around mental health. So I think that's a good thing. And we just gave direction on that just this past Tuesday. So it'll be coming to the Board of Supervisors on June 2nd with the board letter to approve that new allocation to help address some safety net services in the future. But in addition, you know, the board, we're looking at a budget of about $6 billion that we have to approve for the new fiscal year 26-27. Presently, we have a roughly a $91 million budget shortfall. That shortfall could have been as high as $184 million had the board a number of years ago, when Supervisor Haggerty and Supervisor Carson were here, with Supervisor Wilma Chan and Supervisor Richard Valle, we set aside funding to deal with some of the retirement matters of our employees over the course of time. And if we hadn't done that, our deficit this year could have been $184 million. But because we set aside money and we've been putting money into the accounts to deal with retirement, our deficit is only $91 million, which is a blessing. So we got two blessings: the fact that the board took prudent steps a number of years ago to address retirement, and the fact that the voters approved Measure W in 2020. We won the lawsuit in 2025, and now we have those resources to begin utilizing to shore up some of our safety net services in spite of the challenges we're currently facing, some of which people say they haven't seen challenges like this forever. So this is totally new for me as well as a county supervisor, and in my 30 plus years, both as a county supervisor and then another 10 years on the Oakland City Council. So that's the news I'd like to share. And the bright side of that is the fact that, but for us taking those prudent steps and having those resources, the county would be in a world of trouble, a world of hurt. And we'd have to begin to look at what other reductions in programs, reductions in services, potential, we'd have to go to our bargaining units to get labor concessions. So we'd be looking at a number of things we'd have to be doing presently, but for those two facts, that we have money from Measure W and that the board took steps to address retirement a number of years ago.
Thank you. What stand did you take on the FCI Dublin conversion into an immigration center?
Oh, well, you know, the board voted unanimously, if I recall correctly, to, and it was a symbolic vote, that the federal government through Homeland Security and ICE couldn't use the facility for those purposes. So it's basically symbolic because we have no jurisdiction over federal property, but we took a symbolic vote to show that we would be opposed to that. There's a good possibility, because I raised, would our vote prohibit or preclude the county from utilizing that facility for some purposes down the road, should we see it beneficial to serve the public good. And I was assured that our vote would not impact the county's ability to look at the Dublin facility in the future if we needed to.
Thank you. What has the Alameda County District Attorney proposed for a crackdown on organized crime rings?
Oh, well, I know the district attorney is really working hard. She said, I've heard her speak a number of times, that it's going to probably take her a good 5 years to turn things around and get things stabilized in that office again as a result of the prior DA who was recalled. But in the meantime, she's given her, and the reason she said that is because she said it takes a prosecutor maybe 3 or 4 years to go through a whole iteration of steps to become effective. And a lot of prosecutors in the office under prior administration, they were not prosecuting cases and doing all the things they need to do to become effective prosecutors. That's why she said it's going to take a while to turn things around with the prosecutors learning the ropes. But she has said that she is moving forward to do things in a balanced approach, to hold anyone accountable for their transgressions and appropriately hold them accountable. So depending on the severity of the crime, depending on the circumstances of the victim and the perpetrator, depending on the law, all those things she'll take into the equation so that she's not ruling anything out. And she's giving her prosecutors the ability to seek enhancements if it is warranted in terms of a prosecutorial action with a particular defendant. So she has allowed that to happen. And as I said, she's looking at things in a much more balanced approach. And when I say she's not taking anything off the table, I mean, she will go after politicians. She will go after, retail theft. She will go after corrupt law enforcement. She will do whatever it takes to ensure that her office is acting, in a manner of integrity and bringing forth the best of justice so that the folks in Alameda County can be assured that our DA's office is doing its job. So I think that's kind of the best I can say at this point. I know she's also eager to get more resources into her office as well, because I know she's mentioned that they've lost some grants because they haven't been followed up on. I think she said they have maybe 300 felony or homicide cases that they need to deal with. And the prosecutors, the attorneys need to get more seasoned. So she's got a lot of challenges. But I think the one reason I like her, and I supported appointing her as DA, Ursula Jones-Dixon, is having been a prosecutor, having been a judge, and a judge has a lot of integrity, and now coming and taking a pay cut and a retirement cut to come back to be the DA, I think shows a lot of integrity, a lot of confidence, a lot of reassurance. And then being a female of color living in Oakland, and she's been a victim of crime herself on a few occasions. I just think she brings a very balanced approach to what we need in Alameda County. And one other thing I'd mention to the viewers, I've actually had a meeting where I brought in the district attorney from Contra Costa County, Diana Beckton, the district attorney from San Francisco City and County of San Francisco, Brooke Jenkins, and our district attorney, Ursula Jones-Dixon, to all talk about their philosophy, their approach to criminal justice, how they see things, how they are going to collaborate. Because, crime doesn't just stop in Oakland. It doesn't just stop at the borders of Alameda County. And it just doesn't stop in the East Bay. It's regional. So they are going to be collaborating regionally to help bring about a safer environment for us all.
Thank you. That was well said. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back on this edition of Supervisors Report with Nate Miley in just a moment. Welcome back to this edition of Supervisors Report with Nate Miley. Recently, we celebrated Older Americans Month. Your district is supporting older adults in several ways with innovative programs. What are some of them?
Okay, well, yeah, older adults, that's my passion. I do have 2 adult children, a son and a daughter, and I do have 3 grandkids, 2 boys and 1 girl. But older adults still remain my passion because I think our culture doesn't value older adults enough. And we need to value older adults for their respect, their wisdom, their longevity, and what they have to offer to society. And so I'm the president of the United Seniors of Oakland in Alameda County. And it just so happens on May 29th, we will be holding our 35th annual convention, the United Seniors, 35 years. And we hold a convention every year. And we'll be focusing on financial literacy for older adults, a digital competency for older adults, safety for older adults, mobility for older adults, travel training for older adults. We'll also be looking at food insecurity for older adults, affordable housing for older adults as well. Those are some of the things. And through the United Seniors, we're concerned about anything that enhances the quality of life for older adults. But we focus our attention on the things that our leaders decide are a priority for our organization annually. The important thing is that we want to encourage older adults to stay active, mentally and physically active, to not be isolated, to not be fearful. And then we want to encourage non-seniors who are adults, as well as young people, to value older adults and partner with older adults, collaborate with older adults around some of these critical issues and concerns. Because if you're blessed to become an older adult, you want life to be good for you as well. So what we're doing today for older adults will pave the path for quality of life for future older adults. And as I often say, if it's good for seniors, it's good for everyone. So that is indeed a passion of mine because I do feel it serves all of society. And we often put a lot of emphasis on youth and children, and rightfully so. And we often say they are our future, and rightfully so. But we cannot forget our older adults.
Please tell us about your recognition of the Rail Ranch Rodeo for more than 100 years of celebrating ranching.
Oh yes, Rail Ranch Rodeo out in Castro Valley in my district. I have the pleasure to represent 3 parts of the county. North County in Oakland, portions of Oakland, Central County, Castro Valley, Ashland, Cherryland, Fairview, and then East County, a good portion of Pleasanton. And then in my district, I have urban communities, suburban communities, and rural communities. And Rail Ranch is in that rural community. And as a county supervisor, I've become much more attuned and familiar with the issues of my constituents who live in rural and agricultural communities and areas. And then to recognize Rail Ranch is just really, really a privilege because we need to maintain that heritage of farming and ranching so that we don't lose that perspective in Alameda County. We want to be a county that continues to be diverse in interest and in perspective, and serving the needs of the public and looking for things that shore up safety, quality, and humanity. And ag is an important piece of that. We know that we get our food from ag. We know that we cannot shortchange our ag communities, and we know that they have challenges. And oftentimes people glamorize rural and ag culture, but it's a tough life, a very tough life, a tough existence. And I just want to make sure that folks who live in ag communities in rural communities know that this county supervisor and this board of supervisors, we are totally in support of their lifestyle and what they do for this county.
Thank you. Now, no matter what obstacles they've faced, the county fair is still going strong. Might you give us a peek at what residents will enjoy at the Alameda County Fair?
It's interesting you would ask that because today, May the 21st, I actually was at the county fair because we brought in to the fairgrounds one of the pillars, one of the beams from the World Trade Center from 9/11. It will be on display at the county fair as a memorial to all of the first responders and other civilians who were victims of the 9/11 massacre. And it was a very solemn ceremony. Our sheriff spoke, our fire chief spoke. We had all law enforcement there from a lot of different jurisdictions. A lot of elected officials, including the mayor of Pleasanton, Melissa Hernandez, the park director, myself. Other elected officials were represented. And this is just something symbolic of what the fair is all about. It not only brings about an opportunity for people to enjoy the rides that Butler Entertainment offers, to see, the ag, the ag life that comes to the county fair, like the pigs and the sheep and the goats, this, that, and the other. The pig racing, for example. Not only the fair food, the food that you find at fairs, the snow cones, the hot dogs, but also the entertainment that takes place at the fair. But now we also, and they're all the vendors, because there are up-teen vendors at the fair selling all sorts of goods that are just unimaginable, that you'd never see until you come to a county fair. And our county fair is one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state. And finally, as I said, to cap it off this year, we will have that commemorative pillar from the World Trade Center so people can see that. Because a lot of us lived through 9/11, but a lot of these youngsters don't know anything about 9/11 other than what they hear from the stories or they read. So this will be an actual artifact from the World Trade Center that they'll be able to see and pay some respect to, because not everybody can get back to New York and see the memorial there. So this will be our way of showing our respect to the 9/11 victims.
Thank you, my friend, Mr. Supervisor, for being here today and updating us. I'm Dr. Marshall Kamina. Join us for the next episode of Supervisor's Report with Nate Miley right here on Tri-Valley TV. Thank you for watching.